Welcome back to the Explainer. Sometimes the most fascinating stories aren't about massive, complex systems, but about a single clever idea. Today, we're digging into a university project that honestly punches way above its weight. It's a great story about how a simple concept, built in C, can solve a real-world problem and, well, it shows the incredible journey an idea can take from a student's desk all the way to a professional tool. So let's just start with a really basic question. Imagine you're running security for a campus, or maybe a small clinic. How do you actually track emergencies? A fire in the server room, a medical issue over in the cafeteria. You've got to have a log. It has to be fast, and it needs to be totally reliable. But before we had all this slick, dedicated software, the options were, let's just say they were a little clumsy. And this slide really lays out the problem perfectly, doesn't it? On one hand, you've got the classic pen and paper logbook. Simple, sure, but just try searching for a specific incident from last week in a hurry. It's slow, it's messy, you can't spot trends. And then, on the other hand, you have a basic spreadsheet. Okay, a little better, but it's still all manual. You're typing in the date and time yourself, and there's just no way it can proactively warn you if a serious problem is developing. Both methods are they're just passive records of what's already happened. So to fix all of this, you don't necessarily need some million-dollar enterprise system. Sometimes all you really need is a simple, smart idea. And that is exactly what we're looking at today. A lightweight, console-based application that was designed to bring some much-needed order to all that chaos. So this tool, it's called the Emergency Logger, and it actually started out as a Bachelor of Computer Applications project by a student named Beyonce Judikel Mabanzot. And its purpose, it was absolutely crystal clear. Replace those messy logbooks and clunky spreadsheets with something efficient, something automated, and something reliable. And it was all built with the raw power and beautiful simplicity of the C programming language. Now, what's so cool here is just how focused these goals were. This was never about a bunch of bells and whistles. It was all about solving the core problems. 1, centralize the data. 2, make sure it saves to a file so it's never ever lost. And 3, and this is the really key part, build in some basic intelligence, like automatic alerts and instant stats. And on top of all that, it had to be portable, just a single file you can run anywhere without a complicated setup. Okay, so we get the why. Now let's get to the how. Let's take a look at how this clever little program actually works. This is where the elegant design really starts to shine. The user experience is dead simple. You run the program, you get a menu. You choose to log an incident, and you fill in the basic details, what happened and where. Then the system does all the smart work. It automatically slaps on a precise timestamp and saves everything to a plain text file. But look at step 4. This is the magic. It doesn't just save the data. It immediately analyzes it. And this, right here, is the secret sauce. Tucked away inside the code is a constant called alert threshold, and it's set to 3. So every single time you log a new incident, the program scans the entire log file. If it sees that the same location, let's say the server room, has now shown up 3 or more times, bam, it automatically triggers an alert. This is what transforms the tool from just a simple logger into a proactive monitoring system. It's basically shouting, hey, you, something is repeatedly going wrong right here. Now, beyond those alerts, the system also gives you instant analytics. With just one command, an operator can see a full breakdown of incidents by location. As you can see right here, it gives you a quick, clean summary of your hotspots. In this case, you immediately know the server room is your biggest problem area. Look, this is simple data for sure, but when you need to make quick decisions, it's incredibly powerful. Okay, so we've got a simple, elegant, and surprisingly smart solution. But like with any project, right, especially one that's built for simplicity and portability, there are always trade-offs. The very same design choices that make it so great also create some limitations. And here are those trade-offs right out in the open. To get those nice colors in the console, the project uses a Windows-specific library, which means it's not going to run on a Mac or a Linux machine. It's also append-only, so if you make a typo, oops, you can't edit it in the app. The biggest issue, though, is really efficiency. Because it has to scan the entire text file every single time, it's going to get noticeably slower as that log grows from hundreds to thousands of entries. But this is where the story gets really good. The project documentation itself points out these limits. And this quote, it just perfectly captures the engineering mindset. See, the crucial point here is that these aren't failures. They're signposts. They are the exact blueprints for how to evolve this simple tool into something truly professional. So let's follow that blueprint.
Let's imagine how we can take the solid foundation of the student project and, with just a few key upgrades, completely transform it into a robust, scalable, and genuinely modern application.
Okay, the single biggest leap forward is moving from plain text files, which are basically a digital shoebox where you just toss everything in, to a real database, like SQLite. You can think of SQLite as a lightweight but super powerful digital library for your data. This one change solves so many problems at once. Instead of those slow file scans, you get blazing fast indexed queries. The database enforces data rules, so you can't have weird, inconsistent entries, and it can safely handle access from multiple users at the same time. Next up, we have to break it free from its Windows-only prison by replacing that platform-specific code for things like colors and clearing the screen with universal standards like ANSI escape codes, which are basically a universal language for text in terminals. The exact same program can be compiled and run on pretty much any operating system out there. One code base working everywhere. I mean, that is a huge win for versatility. And for the final, ultimate evolution, we change the architecture itself. Right now, it's a standalone app on one PC. But in a real organization, you've got multiple security desks, right? So the professional model is called client-server. You'd have one central server that manages the database, and then multiple client applications on different computers that all talk to it. What this gives you is a single, synchronized source of truth for the entire team. So after making all these upgrades, what does the future of the emergency logger actually look like? Well, it becomes this fantastic example of how a really well-designed core idea can just blossom into a fully featured professional tool. And this is where that full potential really comes into focus. With a real database in place, you can easily add, edit, and delete functions. You can start generating powerful reports for specific date ranges, not just a full data dump. You could even completely replace the text-based console with a modern graphical user interface with charts and buttons and everything, all while being totally ready for a full team of users working together. And really, that brings us to the end of this journey. It's a trip from a clear, simple solution to a single problem, all the way to a blueprint for a professional, collaborative system. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many of the powerful tools that we use every single day started out just like this, as one person's simple, smart idea. Thanks for joining me for this one.